And if it's just blue side wins throughout, that wouldn't mean that Top Esports gets a blue side in Game 5. So that is big.
Go ahead, say, yep, that's what you get. Okay, Sivir banned on Top Esports. We made a joke about it in the last draft that Top Esports are really trying to save this champion for JackeyLove at some point through later in the series. And now we looked at the mid lane. We've dropped the Annie ban. We've actually included Nefiri up here, and we're grabbing Rise for Creme blind.
It's kind of weird. I mean, this is the first time we've seen the side swap. We have a Kiana Nico ban staying on red side, but BLG's throwing that out. I'm surprised at the Poppy plus Alistar ban for Top Esports. I mean, I thought there'd be a world where if you ban away a Silas, you can early pick Alistar and I guess kind of be okay with it. Like, you're playing a Braum or Nada probably at this point, but that's not terrible. One of the bans that was dropped, though, was that Corki that will make it through for Elk and BLG. A big takeaway from JackeyLove and Hong as well. Curious what they're going to be willing and able to play into that one.
Let's see. It's just a hover. I did say after that last game that with Jarvan being taken up, I imagine that Trundle priority was going to rise. We see it immediately reflected in BLG's first 2. And it is going to be Kanavi picking up the Zeds. So where are the other pieces that are going to provide engage and lockdown for these champions? And can we see Kanavi continue to ride that high of playing all those carry junglers? He's had really great performances both in the regular season and playoffs.
I like this a lot. It gives Zed some lockdown. It plays very well in the Trundle as you are building damage and health, not resistances to get sapped away, on top of being a deny from Bin. So now, I mean, do we see a Bin Gnar? We haven't seen Bin really cater to this champion. We could see a Bin Sante. We could see a Bin Ornn. If they want to bring the tank with the Trundle, try and be a difference maker there. That said, we've seen Talia be dropped in priority quite a bit. Zed plays very well in the Talia early on. And yeah, Knight's going to swap over to a Cassiopeia. So that ground could be really effective. And so far, the range of Cassio, it's pretty good in this game. But when you are showing a Corki plus a Cassio, that is an incredibly low-range composition. Top Esports are now going to have to find a little bit of range in the bot lane to use. And I mean, this is where Ziggs and Ezreal being on the board would be great for top. Both these champions gone. And I'd imagine a Jhin ban comes in just to protect Cassio, protect Corki from that range as BLG can take away marksman.
I think that's a great call. We saw the Jhin hover come in heavily in game 2. Then the Ziggs come across. With the fact you've got carry jungler, you got more than enough damage on this top side. Lucian's going to be the ban. I think this is a very good JackeyLove Jhin angle. And you rarely get them.
Maybe they're leaving up Jhin, because if you go Jhin, you just run out of damage. I feel like that's at least the logic of the thought for BLG there. Also, not a great lane into the Corki. And you got to imagine there's going to be a support counter coming in here. So I expect Bin to slam his champion now. The Cassante taken away. He's got Ornn. He's got Gnar. He's got Gragas. Probably not Gragas this game. I think it's probably going to be an Ornn angle.
You want to leave Gragas for 369 later in the series. We want to make sure that he has access to reach for that champion. We're going to get that Ornn.
Someone's a Karsa fan. Someone's a Karsa fan up here, you know.
I am a little worried because we've seen that Rise has typically been immediately countered with things like the Cassio, especially as we've gone further into Fearless and especially as we've kind of developed in the meta going into
If you Jhin, there's no damage, man. I think you got a Zeri or Varus or something, yeah. Like Varus Renata.
Range, but Varus has been... I think Varus has been quite sad to watch, especially as
you go on hit?
Kind of seen the bans.
I think you can't get away with
I think you on hit. Yeah, I think you have to go on hit Varus. Yeah. Varus Braum. It's going to be on hit. Yeah, I think that's fine. Braum's really valuable against Ornn. I like that 4-5 from Top Esports. I think they saved themselves a lot of pain. Then look at the Rise, Zed, Renekton. I'm like, man, that's really tough to get through an Ornn. But yeah, okay, it's going to be Varus, Braum, and I like the Bard from On as well. So I like the scaling of BLG. I think that Bard can really help them close the gap and execute in these fights. But Top Esports, they have a lot of strength in some of these lanes early on. Creme should be able to get some shove. The Varus and the Braum get shoved. They can deny the Ornhorn, which is a big part of Engage. So I think that puts a lot more pressure on with these Tempered Fates to be on point. Does
Varus really get to play on hit in this game? I feel like you're really not going to enjoy your life with... Yes, the Ornn ultimate's going to get blocked, but Trundle Pillar is something that he's going to have to be worrying about. Cassio eventually, once she hits like 2 and 3 items, becomes, I think, a little untenable right there. Like,
yeah, the BLG scales.
Elk.
Yeah, BLG scales, like, I'm sold they scale nicely. I just think it has to be on hit Varus. I know the poke, like, you'd get the range, but I can't imagine using poke Varus to get through Ornn, Trundle, Cassio. Exactly, it's so nerfed. I think it just has to be on hit. Especially with Braum.
Well, JackeyLove put in a very pristine spot. once again in a draft where we asked a lot of him. Game 2 was a flop. Game 3, we're looking for one of his vintage performances, because on the other side, you've heard my analysts talk about it. BLG, once again, looking to get into this newfound form where they like to play patient early, wait to scale. And we've already seen Knight run over this very matchup in a very similar style. Game 4 Azir comes to mind. The Cassiopeia set up in very similar spots. It's our first potential rubber match of this series coming online. Game 3, BLG versus Top Esports.
敌军还有30秒到达战场。
Gyos are growing, gentlemen. I can. They're gonna get louder and louder the deeper we go into this series. As we get onto the rift here, Alkin, I want to ask you something. Cubby talked about the pushing lane power that Top Esports has, and when we saw Kanavi take over, oh, Cubby, hold on.
I gotta bring up, so On, I mean, first off, they're walking into Braum, and Elk gonna be able to walk out, but On has gone for the Electrocute, not the Spellbook. That really nerfs your ability to play grubs, because what's been happening with Spellbook, pretty much every TP opts to take, or every support opts to take TP around that moment, so you get a lot of map strength to try and play that big objective. Going Electrocute's interesting, a little bit more lane prowess to try and beat up on this on-hit Varus, which JackeyLove has spec'd for, but I think it removes a lot of the power to play grubs, and I'm curious to see how that impacts that phase of the game.
What I found really interesting about the power of the lanes the Top Esports brings here is that it enables Kanavi to get back into that groove we saw him in the upper bracket of just constantly evading towards strong sides, getting himself very far ahead and kind of running over his opponent. I feel like there's no better game state than this one for the Zed pick to try and do just that.
I mean, it's possible, but we also just haven't seen Kanavi be super impactful. What the? We're getting 3 flashes here on level 1. I get it. We missed out on the Winter's Bright. JackeyLove was hoping that his support would be able to land it. It gives him priority over the wave, but I need to see Kanavi get active, not in this early game, but at least be a part of this. I feel like Kanavi's been a bit missing in some of these.
Look, I mean, I would love for Kanavi to get a part of that very volatile bot lane, but I mean, that's the benefit of the Trundle, and Shadow's making a real choice here. They see Kanavi on the Raptors. He has 3 camped his bot side and is going straight bot.
No flash.
No flashes.
And Top Esports, yeah, you're right, there are no flashes, but they're kind of wary of this. His On is missing. If he grabbed the portal level 2, they could get Trundle in. But Top Esports being very respectful of that timer and aware that that's very good to see, because, yeah, that top side's still up. They had a ward of the Raptors. Not seeing him on Raptors, I think, is what gave it away for the team. So, good map-wide play there from the Top Esports bot lane to step back at the right time.
So now you have Kanavi with a serious lead on these clears. He's going to get his base in. Curious to see what he comes back out with. Definitely
double longsword.
Yeah, double longsword. So a clear advantage already for Kanavi. A bottom lane lead brewing, at least in the health department, for JackeyLove and Hong. Where do they look to navigate this and push further, knowing the BLG, like we're going to say all game long, are willing to play the scaled game?
And look, I mean, they're trying their best to deny the cannon. Elk's going to get it, but I will say that On, I like the Bard pick this game. I think it's very appropriate. Yeah, On is 0-1. I have it on as 0-2. I think if that might include a little bit more in the summer.
This is only playoffs. This is only playoffs.
Yeah. So I will say that On, I mean, he's someone that I've really asked to step up. Like, I think a lot of the BLG jungle swaps, I think that On's performance in wins and losses has had more variance than just Shadow or Beishuan being in the lineup. And for me, this is a game where On being on that Bard, he really has to step up, because if the Unbreakable is used to nullify the Call of the Forge God, right, that Ornhorn, it really does come down to these tempered fates about what kind of engage can you find. And I want to see if On's
oh my god,
challenge.
Kanavi.
Flash for flash.
Flashing, and he's going to set up Creme to find that kill, returning back to what worked in the upper bracket for Top Esports. That's cutting Knight down early.
And Shadow got spotted on top side. We saw an immediate movement from both Hong and Kanavi to move in. They know, because we were talking about the early ward on enemy Raptors, that his camps haven't quite respawned. So while Kanavi doesn't get to counter jungle, he does get to not only take double sums from Knight, but get first blood for his mid laner. That was part of the success that we saw from them very early on in that winners finals.
Love the snap decision here. Sees Creme get the Rune Prism. There's a no hesitation. Flashes for that Q. And Creme knows he's got Knight cornered. with how low that HP bar is.
If
I
he
mean,
gets
Hong
that
even
W
being
down,
there too.
because he wasn't on my asthma, by the way. There was very, very tight margins.
Yeah, very, I mean, I think that's very well played by Kanavi, and a great find, as we do see this swap coming out. It's going to benefit the team with the tank, as if I'm opting into starving out resources from an Ornn or a Renekton, I will take the Ornn every time if we're going to play with lower resources. But 369, I think it's worth noting, this is 369 Renekton, and we really haven't seen him play Renekton all split, which is crazy to think about, because this guy was like the Renekton player. You think about his ability to just play Renekton weak side, be strong, you know, be effective. 369 was the guy. I think it really speaks to what the meta is this split, and also how some of our top teams in the LPL, I mean, 369 and the Shy are just asking to play tank duty, where it has been Bin supposed to be playing the carries. So again, more of a deny from Bin rather than a pick for 369, even if historically 369, Renekton has been very good, has yet to play at this split, which I find pretty crazy.
Oh, wow. Bin gets the first knockup. Horn down. Trying to get some good chunk damage into JackeyLove, but he was expecting Hong to be there so quick, and he ends up being the one trading his flash.
I think that the idea from Bin on that timer is good, but just where the map is at, Kanavi was on the Dragon. Now, Bin might actually be punished. He built a Ruby Crystal with a passive and did spot Kanavi. Should be able to walk his way away, but that's going to be waves lost by Bin, whereas 369 is doing his best to pick up what he can to the top side. So even with the resource swap coming out, it is the Ornn that gets starved out more just because Shadow's not up there to impact the Renekton, whereas Kanavi was here to take the Dragon and push Bin off the wave.
Shadow went into topside, saw that there's no camps. Kanavi has been very, very disciplined about making sure that his timers are good. And like you're mentioning, there's no punishment on the 369, who now has options with the Dominus. So he can stay for that wave. If he gets pressured, he gets free 300 HP and a little bit more of a heal. JackeyLove's going to get stalled out. Maybe there's a play with Bin.
Find the knock-up onto this wall, but a really good Winter's Bite stun from Hong. Piercing arrow, JackeyLove having to flash. Knight, though, over the wall. Wants to find this kill, but he can't get close enough for the poison. Doesn't matter. Bin is going to bop down JackeyLove and send Hong packing as well.
Extraordinarily greedy base from JackeyLove there, Dimitri.
Yes, yep. And also, we get to see maybe the application of an electrocute bard there. Gets them that damage, so get him within the threshold there.
Oi.
So...
Oh. That's some solid results-based analysis there. I like that one. I am curious to see like what happens though with the lack of spellbook, because again, look at Hong. He's got that TP ready, and yes, On is on this side of the map, but with the swaps coming out, you have a TP from 369 bot. I think he's going to use this TP to get the wave in and really pressure Bin, who is not even walking bot. I mean, they're walking straight to the grubs. Knight's taking a TP right now and is actually going to go pick that up. So they're weak-siding Knight early. I find that interesting. I actually think that Bin is more useful at a fight here at this time than the Cassio, who is going to be going for the double scaling items, but maybe not without the Call of the Forge God, which can be neutralized by Braum. So interesting choice here from BLG. I think if Braum wasn't in the game, I'd be in full alignment with them. Given that he is, this is a little bit interesting.
They can still try to make for this. It seems like On, though, is not even walking up towards that top side. They want to get a little bit more vision. Shadow also has top camps that are going to be respawning soon, so more in line, I think, here for BLG to just try to track Kanavi's camps, see if they can grab a timer, and protect Knight. You talked about wanting to get him his scaling items. Well, now we have On playing to this side of the map and getting him at least a turret plate.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like the idea of putting Knight away from the action. There is going to be no contest here. I think that still makes sense for BLG, who are going to... They have a lot of scaling in this game that they have to do, especially between that Ornn and Cassio. They want to get going. But, man, I am scared for them at this point, because I think that if Zed is allowed to have the game that Kanavi's had so far, where, I mean, he is sitting at the most CS in the game, you can really take off on this pick if you get those first two items fast. And yeah, I mean, good luck defending this dive. 5 coming.
Realm Warp, it's all 5. Shadow's there, but he just watches his top laner die. Deathmark comes down. Great double stun from On, though, to delay the damage, but it just doesn't matter. Turn aggro tanked well. Can Elk clean up these kills on JackeyLove? He can't get past the shield. Hog blocks all of Elk's damage. They can't even find JackeyLove on that trade, and Kanavi knows that they have the control, forcing On to flash away. TES run wild on the top side.
They're going to get 3 grubs, take most of these turret plates, and hell, Knight gets 2, but it doesn't matter. Kanavi now gets to start off the game 1,500 gold. What is it in Kanavi in Game 3s here against BLG? First it was the Silas, now it's going to be the Zed. Maybe it's the full turret here at 9.5 minutes.
Oh, they're responding to another TP. So nice. They got to do it twice. They bring all 5 around. It's the Miasma into the Petrifying Gaze, but again, it's Hog's shield and his stuns that get ultimate value. We've got ourselves another chucked early game in our series.
Yeah, BLG, I fear you just got Braum, man. On 2 plays in a row, the Unbreakable has not been able to be broken as Top Esports standing strong. I mean, it's, again, Knight, no TP. They commit 5 with 3 grubs up here. This is why I love the Renekton, because you can really play to pressure the Trundle. Renekton Trundle is a good pairing because you deny the Renekton away from this. Renekton just slaughters Trundle early on.
And pass.
Yeah, I mean, that's not to mention just the numbers advantage. Oh, that auto attack animation was stopped by the Winner's Bite proc. The Top Esports crew happy about that one behind the stage. As, yeah, I mean, this is just the thickest of leads for Kanavi in the jungle. Again, how filthy is this from what he's doing here to me? Okay, we have an ad running from the LPL. We'll draw it in afterwards. But he already has an Eclipse and a Phage before the 11-minute mark. Look at this.
And look at his teammates, by the way. We're 10.5, and we have a completed Blade of the Ruin King and a redemption done here for Hong. I think that these next few minutes, it is very tough to ask BLG to look for a fight. And yes, they are able to scale, but like, we're going to have Dragon spotting here. They still have buttons to play. Like,
yeah.
You don't have flash on some of your carries.
I mean, they're throwing up the ads and the features just to get away from the scoreboard because it looks disastrous on there for BLG. Speaking of ads and features to get away from the scoreboard, shout out to our sponsors in ProDiv. We got one more lower third of the show on our end. ProDiv.gg, LPL 10, 10% off coaching on ProDiv.gg. Guaranteed to get coaching from the pros and pros only on that website. Improve your game with the code LPL10.
You can learn how to not get brommed in your own solo queue games, guys. It happened to the best of us.
I'll offer you that info for free.
Whoa, don't. Hey, man. Don't take our money like that on the grand finals broadcast.
You're washed NA Masters. It's fine. It's fine.
Grandmaster, early season, all right? Don't worry about it. It's fine. How many of those supports on that website were the #1 Braum in the ladder? Probably all of them. That champion's easy as hell to play. That said, Knight, it's pretty difficult to outplay this one.
Yeah, let's see how easy of an outplay this is for Knight. There's a much longer play being made as Creme. It's going to route away Elk from even getting over here. They force Bin to TP, and TS, they're chilling. They're up so much. Let's just take the TP away and not risk throwing our entire lead.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, look at the map. BLG, they're stuck to play that wee little quadrant to defend this outer, whereas Top Esports get everything else. I like the fact that they showed some restraint there.
Oh, is Kanavi fishing? On is super low. He just had to take a portal out from there. I saw Kanavi move on the minimap. They want this blue buff.
An LPL staple, even in the grand finals, guys. We try and fight over a buff and nearly throw an entire game. Hey, we're learning a little bit here. It's still BLG, though, much farther behind the curve nonetheless. And a point you guys kind of hit pretty well on that I wanted to make regardless of the lead that exploded for TES is even if the gold lead wasn't so big here, the first item advantage for TES at this point in the game is just so huge. Eclipse value, Blade of the Ruin King into a tank. You're going to get 369 on first item. Even if this lead hadn't manifested, Top Esports would have been so much more in control of this game, and the lead kind of just compounds on that.
Yeah, Shadow going to get played upon.
Longest Realm Warp you've ever seen in your life right there from Creme. But guess what? He was just trying to bring Shadow back into Kanavi, who's looking to have another historic Game 3. Slices down Shadow for his 3rd kill of the game.
Elk gonna try and sneak on. Okay, should do so with the Velk, no problem. Look, you mentioned Game 3s. Kanavi obviously had the Silas game, Game 3 against BLG that was so big in the upper bracket final. That was against Beishwan. And what happened after that game is that they subbed out Beishwan for Shadow, who came back and I thought played very well in Game 5 especially, helped make sure that his team got the win. I think it's a real conversation. I mean, what do you do if you're BLG here? It feels like Shadow's been the player you go to when the backs are up against the wall. Was Beishwan just, the delayed starter in baseball, play the relief pitcher for 3 batters and throw your real starter in? Or are they going to go back to the well and grab Beishwan here? I think that's a real choice for BLG because this gold lead's too big. I think they're going to drop this game. And as plates fall, we have plays on both sides.
Going after Knight. The Miasma does slow down his combo, so good use of that to make sure Knight survives. But
still grim.
It's a war on 2 fronts here. TS's main prize was to get that bottom lane tier 1 turret offline.
Well, now we've gotten all this gold. I assume that in a minute we're going to see Kanavi and the rest of Top Esports look for a recall. Let's look at their inventory as we come into this, because we're going to have 40 seconds before we get into this Herald, and I don't see an area where BLG are realistically going to be able to fight here.
No chance.
And we talked about them wanting to scale late. You can't give every single objective up early.
This is also one where, like, the Rise into the Cassio matchup, Knight has opted to match the double scaling items, and I gotta say that Cassio becomes a very slow champion when you opt for these items. I'm a little bit surprised to see this because I think we've seen more Cassios go for like just the Seraphs, and then you get other items. Like if you get a Torch or a Rylai's or the Andres,
so good, yeah.
Getting that online earlier is more valuable. He is fully committed to the double evolved items, which is going to really delay that third item that actually, you know, gives you a little bit more of an impact on the game in terms of passive just not benefiting yourself. And against Ryze especially, where you already kind of outscale that one, I'm not as down for matching the build.
Ong, a little too big for his britches. He's going to have to flash over a pillar, and that's going to, for the time being, give BLG control of this Herald.
They can't fight. Cubby's back in base.
Their map's so on fire, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's going to point out. Like, size, like, look at them. They're dropping a wave top side. You're letting 369 hit onto this tier 2. They're going to have to TP overnight to cover for it, but that's a Herald that we thought BLG would never be able to take.
Yeah, but I think the top did it to get... I mean, look at Zed. He's at 2 items now. And I think they're just playing for the dragon stacking. Like, they got a clean reset to get Zed 2 items.
Chains of corruption. Into Glacial Fissure. Good temper fate, though, from On. It's going to stall it out. Can he keep this turret up and alive? Good flash out. Here comes the Ornhorn. Finn looking for the turret. He's actually going to find 369. Maybe a Hail Mary play here for BLG, giving them some gold back as they sent Creme up creek with no paddle, and he's going to fall next to Elk. An overstep from TES, opening the door a bit here for BLG.
We asked for On to step up on the Bard. He does just that with that fight, and an overextension for from Top Esports. I'm talking about taking a clean dragon. You're dropping the Rift off of Kanavi's reset to get your sides right and get a full setup for this dragon. They don't have to play for the outer turret there. Now that they drop members, yes, 369 and Creme have TPs. Do they want to use both of them to try and contest this dragon, which is sole point for them?
I think so. I think they want to try to look for this right now. They're going to have to chase them out of this pit afterwards. Maybe Kanavi gets a steal.
Have to look. Knight still has that petrifying gaze on the front side. He's going to have to try and stun it, so Kanavi can't get in for the steal. He won't. Stuns up. Kanavi catches him on the pillar. He has to go for the death mark, but Knight's going to flash away from the damage. Oh, picks up the first kill. Shadow's going to go down the front side. JackeyLove is desperately trying to kite back, but he's got Bin with a big bad hammer, slapping him around. Dragon stacking cut down, and BLG escape trading kills away. This game's momentum is swinging minute by minute.
This all starts with a Bard ultimate that completely stops the play here for Top Esports, and now 2 plays in a row. Top Esports have lost big time here against BLG. They're going to get a little bit of that gold back by taking this mid-tier 1, but that is a massive swing going back to Bilibili.
This was a 5k gold lead. If Top just commit to fighting on their timers, which is what the Rift drop was about for me. Again, they sent Kanavi in base to get the Cleaver and the Eclipse. If they don't fight this mid turret, their map setup's going to be great. BLG, they're recovering the map after the Rift. It's pressure from Top Esports. They do not need to fully commit like this onto a turret that they don't even need to take. Just take the dragon as On completely dunks them. 369 walked in front of that one, which also caught Ong. He needs to split against Ong, so another mistake from him. Creme flashed in a poor direction away from the team. Easy punish from On, who really just took control over the game in that sequence by the Bard, a player that we were asking to step up. Does just that in a moment where BLG needed him. And that's a 5k goal
it's taking another one.
Down to 1k.
Oh my god, On's done it again. He's gapping from the support role right now and dragging BLG back into this game 3.
This is so historic, not only because it is Bard for On, but last year, when playing up against Weibo, we saw that this Bard was completely useless. He was like 0-9 on the champion, and they still won that series, still end up winning themselves a championship. Now, two plays in a row. First, that Bard ultimate doesn't hit the turret, so it allows the turret to continue to ramp up. Nenny makes a play onto Creme, who we know has no flash. BLG have opened up a massive lead, get 2 turrets for themselves.
It's just the cutting into the lead, right? They were down 5k. They're now only down 1k. And a comp where we're talking about how they scaled so hard. And again, I think that if Top Esports stuck with that 5k gold lead and they get a clean setup around that third dragon, that is no fight. They're like, you can never walk in there as BLG, and we're talking about Ocean's sole point. Now and also a 4 to 5k gold lead. Now we're talking about a 1.5k gold lead with an Anaconn spawning and no soul to threaten yet. So I feel like Top really biffed that sequence. And this is a little bit of what we saw in that series against BLG in the upper bracket finals, where we did see Top get a lead in 4 out of those 5 games, and they biffed a couple on the way to try and find a victory.
And as we set up for this Octagon, I want to hammer home something you just brought up, Cubby. and we've been talking a lot about Knight's build with the double scaling items. We felt like this game was getting so out of control they'd never be able to get to a comfortable spot with them. But it's not just Knight that gets the Seraphs done. He nearly has the Roa done. Look at Elk. This Mora Mana's nearly completed for the Corki. So now BLG have a spot where their Cassio and their Corki are much more online than we ever thought they'd get with the game state about 5 minutes ago.
The only person that's going to have flash for this Otacon is going to be JackeyLove. Still at least 30 seconds before 369, and then maybe 45 to a minute for both Kanavi and Creme. See that BLG take control of the midway first, move over into this wave. Knight's probably going to have to TP, and he'll at least maybe grab himself a turret as well. This could be a massive swing coming in for BLG and for Top Esports.
Boy.
They need to get their heads back on straight. They need to be able to find a win here.
Gentlemen, we've seen this so many times. It's Otacon again in a close match.
I know that there's been so much discussion about Otacon and the fights around here. I think Bard is especially dire with what you can do with the narrowed walls, the tempered fate. He needs to be the one that finds the engages. That's a big takeaway from Creme. Elk's going to be stuck at that health bar. That might be enough just to take down
They're going
Otacon.
after Creme. On gets another tempered fate. He's going to try and layer the stuns. TES, they get the Otacon, but is Creme the traded prize? Because his Seraph shield provides so much space. He knocks down Elk. Sure, Knight finds the trade, but that's a huge win for Top Esports because the picture-in-picture, they pick Ben off as well.
Big mistake from Elk. You just can't lose your health bar like that. I think they went so heavy onto Creme because they knew that Otacon couldn't be fought when Elk was at that HP bar. Creme able to find the 1v2 is a massive turnaround from him too, as it's going to be a trade of inners with the Otacon going to top for free. Very happy about that.
369.
All right.
Okay, good slice and dice.
Should be able to get out, and now we still have Dragon. It would be Soul Point here, yet again, an attempt here for Top Esports.
And his
They will
TP.
not have Creme, and he does have the teleport to be able to get into this play. But they're also missing, they have a few buttons. The only thing that's missing for me is
TP.
On's ultimate.
It was a bad TP from 369. Like, they lose the tower anyway. He loses his conditions. I think that was a miss. The only win is that he gets Sterax afterwards. So if you can somehow make it to the fight, it's good, but they're late. So that's 2 dragons in a row.
Oh, hold on. Kanavi can find a way in there. The Miasma's going to delay his Living Shadow first. But they're going to TP Kanavi in. He goes right in, steals it, gets back out. Creme doesn't get stunned up by the Petrified Gaze. That's a huge Glacial Fissure on the back end by Hong. Flash out from Bin, buying some space, but here comes the round more with the Death Mark. Kanavi sending all of Top Esports forward. It's a double knockup from Bin, though, to stall things out. And Elk has picked off JackeyLove on the backside of this fight. Tank is down for BLG. Carry out the gate for TES, but it's Creme flashing after Elk, feeling that killer instinct, but Shadow's going to body block. Can the Downers connect to get in? No! The Steric Shield buys him some time, and they'll trade Shadow out on flashing forward for a big double stun. But where's the damage, bro? Elk can't step past this big bad Croc. It's a blast go to buy him some space. Now TES try and navigate through the fog, but they don't need to force this. They got the Ocean Soul Point.
Big reliance, and finally Kanavi gets a team fight where he's able to finally get onto the back line and, more importantly, steal the objective. Usually it is so tough to try to steal these objectives versus Zed Deathmar or passive as well. Finally makes it happen. Also gets the flash out from Knight and multiple summoners across the board now taken away from BLG. As we get right into this replay, I mean, one, just look at this. There's no miasma, and when this ultimate from Knight comes through, Kanavi's in the brush. They don't know that he's stunned. They try to go on to Creme because they know he doesn't have flash or he's going to use it later. There's no way for them to get in. Elk and On yet again late to an objective and not able to get themselves in a good position.
Elk was late. He did some work, though, because he pretty much 1v1 JackeyLove, as that was what turned the fight initially, where it could have been a BLG win, but Knight lost way too much of his health, and I think that's why the re-engage here was a mistake on the back half. I will say 369, if he doesn't go for Shadow there, he gets Elk. If he just walked up and got the W down on the Elk, I think he gets him. He was looking to peel Creme, but Creme bought the space away from the Trundle, so I think a missed click there from 369. That does keep Elk alive, so they miss out on the kill in the back half.
Alk, I want to give you some credit here because the one thing it felt like all three of us were split on this draft was JackeyLove on hit Varus. For these last couple fights, I think you were right. It feels impossible to ever get any of these autos down. He's been
he needs help from the team.
I know.
The people.
I don't think that's happening, brother. I've got Kanavi.
Yeah.
I've got Kanavi and Creme. I think JackeyLove, all you've done this game is, hey, I played Ziggs in game 2 to maybe help the team. This time, I'm just here to throw out an ultimate versus a flashless Cassiopeia, or even to stop a Trundle from walking forward.
Okay, so that's the game right now. As this game goes later, though, Varus damage is so incredibly significant. And I think that he kind of, like, the fights are probably going to change for Top Esports, where can't do as much of the chaos that they've been doing because they're going to have to actually play around this Varus if they want to win things late. Again, I mean, Top have already made mistakes in this game. This should have been a done and dusted game when they were sitting up 6k gold, right? The fact that we're at this game state, like Elk has been able to get it in the game. The Trundle is only down one item, not even one item against the Zed.
Right? Like, we talked about him trying to be a little bit more useful. He's somehow down 600 gold, but up an entire item versus his counterpart here.
No boots.
True!
No boots, let's go.
My fault. That's right. Serpentine Grace.
Kanavi.
Oh, Kanavi going to face check with that Living Shadow. Very wise choices. I feel so excited, gentlemen. We finally, at Game 3, got to that close game. These Baron fights feel like the decisive fights that we've been asking for between these two teams.
Poke is still good from top between the Zed and the Varus. I know it's not Poke Varus, but those Qs, I mean, they still take away some damage.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to be... I don't think the top wants to hit this one. I don't think they need to. They can play to the Ocean Soul. And we saw BLG... I think really, game 1, they played this sequence very poorly. When it was Soul and Baron spawning at the same time, remember, they dropped the Soul for nothing and then didn't stick to the Baron. With Shadow in the lineup, it's very clear that Shadow is an IGL for this team. He talks a lot. I want to see if they can at least create a better solution this time, even if they don't win it with Shadow, because you still have to think about, you know, what jungler is BLG going to rock moving forward, especially if they drop this game.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of control coming in for Top Esports right now. On. He's going to have his flash coming back up, but we have not seen that same level of impact that we got in the first 15. They're going to cancel the recall with the redemption.
Look at the dragon. They're doing it off the dragon timer. That's a big cooldown, but you're hoping that Corki can't get an LDR. And that ward is so valuable. They're going to prevent Elk from getting an LDR pretty much before this dragon, and that just might be Soul. I mean, he might go the Grievous Wounds one, too. Mortal Reminder.
Could also be Shield Bow. Oh, it is LDR. All right.
Hold on. Knight's trying to walk up now. It's his turn to play. Guess the Death Brush. He'll do so aptly. We saw there, Bin, levels 13, just got to the first Ornn Augment. So this gold lead becomes even more deceptive with each level Bin grabs. Realm will play here from Creme. Why not make this trade-off?
They get it. I know Kanavi didn't join. They get it. It's on hit Varus. This thing melts. Baron for second Ocean Dragon. Well worth for top. They didn't want to fight the Soul. We'll see if they can get off the Baron.
I don't know, Cubby. I feel like if we're talking about BLG wanting to go late, if you give them another 5 minutes in this game, it's a little questionable. Like, Knight's going to hit level 16. You're giving Elk the ability to continue to hit on some of these waves. It's a little questionable. Now Bin even gets a little bit of experience, so he's going to start handing out Masterwork items. I don't know. We need to see Top Esports really utilize the next 2.5 minutes of a Baron buff, and I don't think they get that choice when you have what BLG are showing from their squad. They can very easily delete these minion waves.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't think the BLG siege as well as a team, but you do open yourself up to Bard. So I think the top, they have to 4-1 or like 3-2 here. They can't play 3 lanes against Bard. Just no way. They definitely have to be careful here because they're going to look for a pillar into a fish.
JackeyLove. Comfortable. The pillar comes out. Oh, Temper Fake and a grab on. He gets onto JackeyLove. Can they get towards him? No, the redemption comes across. And look at the damage. The Cream's able to push through. Deathmark comes across, but Knight catches Kanavi with a huge petrifying gaze. It doesn't matter, though. Finally, Top Esports get to let their machine gun 80 carry hit like a truck. Great block on the Ornn Horde from Hog. And TES just break the front door down and say, give us match point. Give us grand finals point.
That's it. That's just going to be the game. That's going to be Top Esports finishing this one off. They've got another wave on mid, and it is just Elk alone.
Can't see if 369 is a flash up because that could guarantee it.
He doesn't.
One flash up against Elk. Okay,
doesn't matter. It's a Rune Prism, and Elk sacrifices himself. Just like the upper bracket finals, TS win game 3 to go series point.
Goddamn. Wow. What a weird game, especially in... maybe I cast or cursed it. Maybe we just called it a little too soon. On went from hero to 0 in that game after a while. We saw no Bard ultimates. We saw very little impact. I don't know if that was a lack of vision for them to be able to play a little bit more proactively, or... A lot of the map state from BLG was pretty tough for them to play after they lost more of their outer structures.
Yeah, I think the 369 had a really nice last fight there as well. But yeah, I mean, I like the draft from top in the sense that they had the proactivity. And we didn't see them 100% cleanly snowball that one, but Kanavi stepped up and yoinked the dragon at the end. I thought that Hong did a really nice job of playing defense for JackeyLove in that last fight, something he failed to do in the fight earlier. And we did see Creme and Kanavi be able to run a game. I mean, Kanavi ran that game from start to finish on the Zed. It was really, I think, a couple of MVP wards, too, from top esports and Hong. That, I mean, Elk not being able to reset in time for the dragon. That turned into a Baron. The early game, not seeing Shadow on those Raptors. It made sure that the bot lane of top esports were able to step back and not get ganked at after that third camp. And that's what started the lead for Kanavi as they move forward. And then I think the BLG really didn't respect their own weaknesses early on and sacked too much early. But that kind of shows from the draft too. So BLG likely to be back on blue side for the next one. You have to see what kind of strength they can bring in draft to try and match the might of top esports early. Because when Kanavi is granted 3 winning lanes, Kanavi can get a lot of work done against either jungler or BLG.
You guys pointed out so well, though, this game could have been won by either side, the way the momentum swung. And so many intricacies came into this game 3 win for top esports. That makes me happy as a viewer, but makes me even happier knowing our analyst desk has one hell of a game to break down. Let's see what they think of top esports' game 3 win.
Welcome back to the desk, everyone. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by K-Man and Rude Dude, and thanks to the casters for that game. But top esports take back control of the series and start giving us a little bit of recollection to some of the past moments for top esports as well. Moving forward, though, I mean, it was a pretty dominant game, all heads and above here. It was a Zed that was able to be piloted to a win this time instead of getting super far ahead and ending up finding a loss. I think that speaks to that King Kanavi nature we've seen already, K-Man.
Yeah, I mean, the gold graph is enough to give any top esports fan a heart attack because it came very close to becoming very scary for them. But alas, they end up avoiding disaster. They draft an early game comp, and for the second game in a row, whoever is able to get that tempo in the early game has enough juice to be able to push that forward. And I think the thing really for top esports here and you know, kind of, you know, piggybacking off your Kanavi point, is that it wouldn't just be good enough for them to get a lead. They needed to get a big lead in this game to sacrifice some gold to make sure you could catch up to some of the Ornn items. They got a 6k gold lead early on in this, and I think anything less than this might have been disaster.
I think for me, like the big talking points are that they were able to push the pace of that game, and you know, we're getting some really good highlights sort of showcasing how and why that was possible. I mean, this Braum Shield is, for one, just the most devastating thing for Elk to potentially take part in the finals so far. But I mean, what we didn't talk about, what we got to see though, is the back half of in the post-game stats that actually On did the 3rd most damage on his team, which as a Bard and as the support is not what you want. And you might have thought, oh, is he behind Bin and, you know, the Trundle or the, you know, something like that? No, it was actually Knight who he did did more damage than. Knight did very little in this game, in owing to that build path, right? He went for the tier, he went for the Rod of Ages, and by the time that he ended up being scaled up, the game was over. That you didn't get the opportunity in this game for him to have that really good pop-off performance. It was a build that took him far too long to get online, and by the time that he was there, the game had already sort of ran its course.
Now, do we think that's an issue where BLG just need to start drafting pure early game? I mean, this is a team that's been known for a long time to be willing to go to those later games because they feel like they can out-team fight you at every stretch of the way. I feel like maybe we need to see a little bit of adaptation into the series to focus on what top esports are doing so well, and that's controlling the early game, K-Man.
Yeah, honestly, right now for me, I think BLG's macro is just too bad to play for late game. I really just don't think they're putting themselves in positions to be able to get to the parts of the games that they need to get to, and it's putting them in pretty massive gold deficits. It's really hard to play against top esports if you are giving them free items and free leads and all of this stuff, you know, generated for them basically without any sort of problem. I think BLG, if that means you need to go for early game and you just need to get this tempo rolling like you did in game number 2, great. I'm happy to see that happen. I think the alternative is, you know, maybe start playing a little bit more to your own win conditions. Maybe stop allowing top esports to accelerate the game so quickly when you have Cassio and Corki and Ornn and Trundle and all these pieces that just need to stay calm throughout a majority of this. You know, there are multiple avenues to get back into this, but they have to start picking one, because right now, picking these late game scaling comps and then fighting at 10 minutes, it's losing them the series.
And it was what lost top esports that first game as well, where we were thinking they could, or the second game rather, but we were thinking they could find a win. Ultimately weren't able to do so because they ended up going for these really early gameplays that didn't actually have any purpose for them. So Lots of mistakes being made on both sides, and you know, if we just see some drafts come back to, okay, we can win early, so let's do that. Definitely seems to be the case that whoever's going for those earlier game compositions tends to find a bit of success.
And I'm going to come right back to you, Rude Dude, because I want to ask, is it a diffy in the bot lane? Is it being as impactful as maybe we wanted it to be coming into the series?
I think that the bot lane pairings have actually proven to be really, really impactful in this series so far. Like, just who has the better bot lane duo has actually proven to have a very big ramification on the rest of the series. So, for example, game number 1, the Yunara being able to force the Kai'Sa out for the most part, and then at level 2, throwing that all away, you know, goes to show you that those bot lanes are having big impacts. Quick shout out to Creme here for the MVP. MVPs in this series have been exclusively mid laners so far, despite the fact we were coming into this series thinking that maybe the jungles were going to be a crucial point, especially with the switch up in BLG, and especially since Kanavi's been ruling the roost. But Creme, once again, I think with a second MVP that is deserved in this game as well, it makes a lot of sense, and he's, you know, should be again very, very, very happy with that.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, Kareem.
He's been really good. He's been really, really good today. I think game 2, you know, it's all right. We all have some games every once in a while, but I think I really want to highlight something specifically with Creme here, which is the difference in why the build is okay for Creme on Ryze and why it's not okay for Knight in this game on Cassiopeia, because they end up building the same items. Creme is allowed to do this on Ryze because he's sitting around a Zed and a Varus and all of these champions that can really deal a lot of damage, where